Alright, today we're going to dive into something that might sound a little strange at first. It's a powerful technique called Premeditatio Malorum. Basically, it's the art of building resilience by preparing for the absolute worst. You know, we're constantly told to visualize success, right? To imagine everything going perfectly. But what if I told you that one of the most effective mental practices in history does the exact opposite? What if I told you real strength doesn't come from just dreaming about success, but from having the courage to visualize failure? This quote from the ancient philosopher Seneca, it just nails it. The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. The point isn't to be a pessimist, not at all. It's about being a realist. See, by mentally rehearsing the tough stuff, you take away its most dangerous weapon, the element of surprise. Premeditatio Malorum literally translates to the premeditation of evils, but I want you to think of it less like some morbid obsession and more like a sophisticated psychological tool, like a mental gym for building unshakable calm and resilience. And here's the core psychological truth behind it all. We as humans can handle almost anything if we see it coming. What really breaks us is the hit we never saw. The blow from our blind spot. It's the shock that does the real damage. So how do we actually use this thing? Well, there are three key parts of life where this practice really builds our strength. Let's break those down. First, you've got the mind, which gets easily shocked by setbacks. The solution? Mental reconnaissance. Then there's the body, which kind of lives under this illusion that it's permanent. For that, we need to rehearse its limitations. And finally, the soul, which can get spoiled and soft from too much good fortune. The fix for that is practicing detachment. Now we're going to explore how this practice can really fortify your mind and your body against all the stuff life is inevitably going to throw at you. Think about it. So much of our anxiety comes from this vague, fuzzy fear of the future, right? It's like a monster hiding in the shadows. What Premeditatio Malorum does is it forces you to walk into that room, flip on the lights, and look that monster right in the eye. Let's use a real-world example. The fear of losing your job. Instead of shoving that fear down, you go on a mental recon mission. You actually walk through the whole scenario in your head. That awful conversation with your boss, packing up your desk, the feeling of walking out. You examine that fear from every single angle. And what's the result of doing this? By staring down the worst-case scenario, you realize it has limits. Yeah, it's bad, it has teeth, but it's not infinite. So if that day ever actually comes, while everyone else is panicking, your mind stays calm. Why? Because for you, it's just a repeat of a movie you've already seen. Okay, let's switch gears to the body and see how this works. We tend to live with what you could call an illusion of permanence, just assuming we're always going to be healthy and strong. This practice forces us to challenge that assumption head-on. Here's the crucial mind shift. See your health not as something you own forever, but as a temporary loan. When you take a moment to really think about the possibility of getting injured or sick, your whole perspective changes. Suddenly, a workout isn't a chore anymore. It becomes a celebration of a gift you might not have tomorrow. And now, for the third and maybe the most profound, building armor for your soul, making it resilient to whatever crazy things fortune decides to do. You know, a life where everything has always gone right can actually make a person incredibly fragile. If you've only ever known good luck, the tiniest setback can feel like a huge personal injustice. It makes the soul brittle, easily broken, and resentful. So, this is where Premeditatio Malorum builds spiritual armor by teaching us detachment, by meditating on the potential loss of the things we love, our stuff, our status, even the people in our lives. We actually learn to appreciate them more in the present without desperately clinging to them. And let's be absolutely clear on this. This is not about trying to invite disaster into your life. It's not about being morbid, it's about courageously looking at and accepting the fundamental terms and conditions of being alive, which is that everything changes, everything can be lost. A soul that truly accepts that can no longer be blackmailed by fear. So, we've gone deep into the why. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about the how. With a super simple practice you can start using tomorrow morning. First, just rehearse some of the things that could go wrong today. Second, acknowledge these things are not in your control. Third, affirm what is in your control, which is your reaction to them. And finally, state your readiness. Tell yourself, I am ready to take on anything that comes my way, no matter how big or small. The effect of this simple habit is it's transformative. You walk out your front door not as a potential victim just waiting for things to go wrong, but as a seasoned veteran who has already run through the day's battles in the safety of your own mind. You're prepared. So the only question that's left is the one this practice asks you every single day. What fear will you face? What monster will you look at tomorrow?